Hey everyone, Daniel here and welcome back to another video. I hope all of you are having an absolutely phenomenal day out there as always. Here today, the CEO of Voyager Digital, Steve Ehrlich, just went on Fox Business for the second time in 2 weeks. Voyager's definitely getting more press with time here, but he talked all about Voyager, the platform, what they've been seeing over the past couple of weeks. He talked about cryptocurrency when it comes to regulations and crypto as payment. And in this video, I want to show you guys exactly what he said and dive deep into some of the things he mentioned, as they do have big implications when it comes to VGX stock, the token, and the platform. So if you end up enjoying this video, feel free to subscribe and roll the clip.
Crypto on a wild ride. Bitcoin seeing its second largest monthly decline ever in the month of May. Steve Ehrlich joins me now. He is the co-founder and CEO of crypto trading platform Voyager Digital. Steve, it's great to have you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. What kind of a wild ride have you seen from your company? You founded a crypto trading platform.
Well, thanks for having me again. I appreciate being here today. We've seen more money come into the platform over the last few weeks than at any time during our 2-year existence here. We're seeing consumers use this as an opportunity to buy not just Bitcoin, but to buy other altcoins. And we're seeing a little bit of a rotation away from Bitcoin to some of the other altcoins like Cardano and Link and Polkadot, because people are seeing opportunities as the market has been down so much. They're seeing an opportunity to enter and an opportunity for the long-term investment.
Okay, so to what do you attribute the volatility? I mean, I know that there are rumblings in Washington that we're going to see new regulations for cryptocurrency. Your thoughts on that? When we first saw the new regulatory backdrop taking shape, people did not focus on crypto, but now they are, because Washington is discussing how to put boundaries in place in trading crypto. What are you expecting?
That's a great question there. I think there's a lot of for me to unpack there, but I think from a regulatory standpoint, regulation is actually good for an industry. It means acceptance. It means that people and the government are looking at it and saying, okay, how do we make it a safer, better place for consumers to participate? So the regulation is actually good. But I don't think a lot of people really understand is that there's a lot of regulation in place today. We are regulated by FinCEN, and we have, a lot of know your customer and anti-money laundering rules in place already that we all have to abide by. But more regulation will actually become, will lead to more adoption and more consumers to feel more comfortable in investing in this asset class.
Mm-hmm. And do you believe we're going to see more businesses accept crypto? Isn't that one of the ways to ensure that this is taken and resonating with a broad population of people?
I absolutely do. I think there's going to be more, more companies accepting crypto. I think one of the other things is stable coins there. And I think there will be more companies accepting stable coins as the first step. Then they will start accepting Bitcoin. And that's a growing population. Us at Voyager, we're already seeing that as our business, caters to small and mid-sized businesses as well as retail consumers. And those small and mid-sized businesses want to accept USDC stablecoin. They want to accept Bitcoin, and they want to hold some of their treasury in both of them because you can earn interest on those as well as use them in everyday payment.
All right, we will leave it there. Steve, it's great to talk with you. We'll be talking along the way as this continues to resonate with people. Thank you so much. Steve Ehrlich joining us.
So obviously this was one of Steve's shorter interviews, only around 3 minutes in length, but we do have to consider that Fox Business is one of the biggest TV networks within the United States, and having Steve Ehrlich be on there twice in the past 2 weeks is absolutely phenomenal and shows Voyager really getting their name out. Now, the next two things that I'm going to talk about here are very, very important and vital for anyone that owns Voyager Digital stock, and it has, obviously what happens to the stock, it definitely has implications for the token. First and foremost, Voyager Digital CEO Steve Ehrlich said, quote, "More money came into our platform over the past few weeks than at any time in the company's existence, end quote. This is very, very big, especially if you watch my videos on a regular basis. A little while ago, we talked all about, my projections when it comes to Voyager throughout the month of April and throughout the month of May when it comes to revenue. And what we realized is that the connection between assets under management and revenue, rather principal value traded, has really, really disconnected in the month of May. Why? Because we've seen cryptocurrencies fall in a massive way, causing assets under management, or the assets on the Voyager platform, to decrease substantially, but at that same time, we're seeing elevated levels of principal value traded, the amount of obviously volume that Voyager processes within any given month. And at that same time, what we just found out here today is that net deposits are at an all-time high. So what we kind of priced in for the month of May here, obviously I'm talking about the finance channel community here, what we kind of thought is that, if assets under management do decline potentially, 40%, something like what Bitcoin fell throughout the month of May, and we price that in, but assume that we saw record net deposits, we may not see that big of a kind of downward move when it comes to assets under management, which is obviously very, very bullish for the company. And when we talk about the month of May, although cryptocurrencies went down in a major way, that doesn't mean Voyager did badly. I mean, in May, Voyager will probably have one of the best months in the company's history, and it would not surprise me whatsoever for them to blow it out of the water in comparison to April, which, April in and of itself is absolutely, huge growth month over month from March, and analysts just are completely missing the bigger picture. But the main message, or at least this first message that Steve sent to us, is that net deposits are at an all-time high, meaning that principal value traded, the activity on the platform, is absolutely exploding, which most likely translates to a big increase in preliminary revenue. Now, the next thing we got to talk about here, and this is also very, very big, he talked about the rotation that we're seeing into other altcoins like Cardano and Polkadot, and how Bitcoin and Ethereum are continuing to lose dominance within the Voyager platform. And again, this is huge when it comes to revenue. We talked about the two main figures that you want to watch when it comes to calculating revenue for Voyager. It's principal value traded and the percentage of principal value traded that goes down to revenue, essentially the average fee that Voyager takes. And what we've seen over the past couple of months here is this increase. Why? Because of decreased dominance of Ethereum, Bitcoin, the larger coins, and increased dominance of Cardano, Polkadot, Chainlink. The smaller tokens, which when there is a smaller token, Voyager is able to take a larger spread, a larger fee, and thus Voyager makes more money. So one of the big things we talked about here, again, just a couple days ago, is how my assumptions assume that this 1.84% on average, which is what we know was true for the month of April, will stagnate. And what we just learned is that we're continuing to see dominance within the altcoin sector, which is very, very bullish from a revenue standpoint, as it means essentially the average commission is still elevated above normal levels, which again translates to higher revenue. So overall, these two things that he mentioned, they're probably the most important things he mentioned, but he only kind of just skimmed over them, and they're very important as, we're about to get data for the month of May, at least I hope we are. Voyager is transitioning into more of a quarterly approach when it comes to, reporting their data and reporting their numbers for any given month. Hopefully we do get something for May the same way we got something for April. But, if we do, I do expect a decrease in assets under management, a bit of a smaller decrease than potentially expected. But principal value traded and the amount of revenue Voyager collects is going to be elevated to extreme and all-time highs when it comes to Voyager Digital. And that makes me very, very bullish going into this next quarter. Now, before we keep going here, I just want to say this. The chances of Steve Ehrlich coming on to an interview on the show is quite elevated. So if you have a question that you want me to ask him, again, please leave it in the description down, or rather in the comment section down below. Maybe type in all caps like questions, so I know it's something that you want to ask, or rather a suggestion that you want me to ask for Steve Ehrlich. But whatever it may be, the Voyager platform, the VGX token, potentially different things that you want to know about Voyager, feel free to ask them. I'm not sure if the interview is going to be live or recorded. That's yet to be confirmed. The date is also yet to be confirmed. So again, The chances are high, it's not certain, but if you have a question, you want me to ask him, leave it in the comments section down below. Let's keep going here, guys. Next, they talked about regulation. Obviously, this is a very big topic that we've kind of seen within cryptocurrencies and within Voyager over the past couple of weeks and months. You know, when we look at the cryptocurrency market, we have seen a major pullback for one main reason. China and India essentially going out and saying, you know, we might have to ban cryptocurrencies. China's been back and forth. India here today essentially unbanned cryptocurrencies, and we're really seeing this kind of situation with regulation turn into much more of a positive, and it looks like it's been a big overreaction overall within the cryptocurrency sector. And what Steve Ehrlich said about regulation within the United States is that it's actually good for the industry and means acceptance overall from the government, and once regulation is kind of implemented, it will lead to more people feeling more comfortable within the industry, and obviously when that happens, more potential customers for Voyager, which again is very, very good from the VGX token standpoint and from Voyager Digital stock, looking at it from that perspective. But what he also mentioned is that we already have a lot of regulation implemented here today in today's society when it comes to know your customer and money laundering rules. That's already implemented, right? And there already is a lot of tracking and a lot of regulation within the cryptocurrency sector to a point where how much regulation is really needed. Now, there's no doubt in my mind that we do need more regulation within the cryptocurrency sector for one main reason: to track down fraudulent activity within cryptocurrencies as a whole. I do believe that if we want cryptocurrencies to succeed, we need a way to track down these fraudsters from being able to use Bitcoin for different fraudulent transactions and being able to get away with it on a regular basis. And obviously Big Digital, another one of my investments, they're focusing in on really securing the cryptocurrency sector. That's potentially one way the government goes, using obviously Clue and BitRank, and potentially using smaller companies. Chainalysis, that's another one. But when we look at cryptocurrencies as a whole, regulation is very beneficial for it. That's what Steve Ehrlich says. And increased regulation, that's something that Voyager is preparing for and ready to essentially really implement into their business moving forwards. Now, the last thing he talked about here is cryptocurrency as a payment for different businesses. And one very interesting thing is that Steve did not mention Voyager's payment processing business. Obviously, a couple of months ago, I think it was now, Voyager partnered with Lottery.com. They're working to implement obviously a cryptocurrency payment system onto the Lottery.com website to use USDC, Bitcoin, Ethereum to essentially use as funds on Lottery.com. And this is a business segment at Voyager that I expect personally to really, really grow over the coming months and over the coming years, to potentially Voyager becoming something like the Stripe of cryptocurrencies, obviously on a much smaller level. But there's a lot of potential there for businesses to really start using cryptocurrencies. And I think this ties back to that regulation that we need less fraud within cryptocurrencies. All right, sure. If you compare it to the dollar, there's more fraud within the dollar than with cryptocurrencies. But for people to feel safe, we need elevated levels of regulation to a point where we can track down on a lot of this fraudulent activity so that people feel much more safe. It's the same argument with self-driving cars. Although self-driving cars may be much, much safer at this moment in time, how much safer do self-driving cars need to be than humans for someone to actually trust it? 100 times, 500 times, a couple thousand times safer? That's what Elon Musk said. And then when it comes to Bitcoin, how safe does it need to be? How much less fraudulent activity does there need to be within Bitcoin, within Ethereum, within cryptocurrencies for people to feel safe using it? That is most likely going to be determined through regulation, which will come with time, and that's what Steve Ehrlich says, and that's what Voyager is preparing for, obviously thoughtful regulation. Now, Steve said the move to payment with cryptocurrencies will start with stablecoins and will move to cryptocurrencies with time. And what's interesting is he said that he's seeing demand from the businesses who use Voyager to use cryptocurrencies as payment. And those same businesses are using Voyager to hold cryptocurrencies as their treasury to earn interest on Bitcoin or USDC. So he's seeing a lot of demand when it comes to payment processing and when it comes to financial institutions and businesses potentially holding their cryptocurrencies within Voyager to earn that sweet interest that they pay out on a monthly basis. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you found any value in it whatsoever, please consider subscribing. Thank you all so much for being here, and see you all in the next one. Bye.